Hello and welcome to Recharge Wrestling. We're here to plug you into the world of professional wrestling. I'm Fisher and here with one of my co-hosts, Keeney.
Hey guys.
No Krusty this week. He's not feeling very well, unfortunately, but we've got the two of us and we're going to do a full pod this week of AEW and WWE in one go, like we used to. So,
yep. like the olden days, yeah.
We've both watched Dynamite in time and we're going to do it in one go, so that, save admin work and time. And it's just, let's just get to it. There's no news this week to talk about really that's substantial. So I think we should just get into the shows.
We should probably start with your top mark, because it was the first thing we saw this week in WWE TV.
Yeah, so
SmackDown, opening of SmackDown, Fish.
We're going to start on a high because this is my favorite segment of the week, and it's up there with my favorite segments this whole year.
Top mark of 2022 potentially.
It's up there. I mean, I'm not going to go through every segment and list them, but this, I've not been so sucked into a segment for a long time. I genuinely felt bad for Sami Zayn for like a bit here, and when he eventually turns babyface, I feel like he's gonna be the biggest babyface in the company now. Because this storyline is so good. Because even as a heel, you can hear the Sami chants when the Bloodline are in the ring, and it's one of those things like you just feel when it turns, he's going to get so popular. But yeah, this was a fantastic segment. So it started off with the Bloodline entrance with all six of them. I think that's the first time we've got like a proper full entrance with Paul Heyman, Solo Sikoa, Roman and the Usos, and then Sami all together. So that felt special as well. Paul Heyman started off, I mean, the segment started off kind of standard Bloodline stuff, still good, but like talking about Drew McIntyre, Paul Heyman talked about Solo Sikoa's purpose within the group, which I thought was a good little detail. And then sort of puts over the Usos. They had a little bit of a promo, and Sami Zayn just does nothing in the background for this whole time. Roman makes Solo acknowledge him as part of his sort of initiation. That's what I kind of took it as. And then the music starts to play as if it's the end of the segment. Sami Zayn has not said anything at this point. And then he interrupts the music playing. Everyone's like, okay, what do you want, kind of thing. And he thanks them all for welcoming him into the family, acknowledges Roman. And then is when it gets brilliant, because Roman just starts saying, what is your end goal here? Why are you hanging with us? What do you actually want from this? And Jey Uso was fantastic in this segment.
He was phenomenal.
Jey, Roman, and Sami were amazing in this segment. The others all played their part, but so Jey is getting so happy because he's like, okay, this is happening now. Roman's annoyed with him, and Sami looks so upset. And then Jey, he tells him to take the shirt off. Jey rips it off of him. Can't wait to get him kicked out of the Bloodline, not let him wear the shirt. And then Roman is like, yeah, the only reason I'm doing that is because I've got you your own one with SZ Honorary Use on it. And then Sami just goes hugging everyone, does his little handshake with Jimmy. I was so sucked in. I honestly thought that was it for Sami, and I felt really bad for him. And then all of a sudden it turned, and I'm like, this is just brilliant stuff.
Yeah, it was amazing. And it's also my top mark as well. It's a double top mark from because it's just the best thing that I saw this week. Definitely, it was. I mean, obviously the Sami Zayn stuff was amazing, and that is the crescendo of everything. But I really enjoyed the Solo Sikoa Roman bit, because for a second you weren't sure if Solo was going to acknowledge him. Like, I think Solo Sikoa has come into this group, and to come from NXT with no experience on the main roster. I know he's been in NXT for a year.
Not that long.
Well, he came in just around 2.0 when it started. He already feels above the Usos in the pecking order of the Bloodline.
Yeah,
considering he's their younger brother. Yeah, and I just thought he played this really well. Like he played it well enough to think he might not acknowledge, and then of course he acknowledges him, but you still feel there's something there. And down the line, that is going to be some match, Solo Sikoa with Roman Reigns, because that is coming down the line. And yeah, just the whole swerve with Sami. I mean, I thought, oh, finally he's been kicked out. This is how it's happening. but no, and the
now he's
dynamics,
officially part of the bloodline, really.
Yeah, the dynamics of it all, because Solo really accepts him. You got Jimmy, who's doing secret handshakes with him.
Yeah.
Jay absolutely hates him, and it's just unbelievable. And who would have thought that Sami Zayn would be like an instrumental like member in this bloodline storyline in 2020?
I know it started off as kind of like, oh, this is kind of cool, but I didn't expect it to go. And I think now, I mean, I've been calling for them to do the turn and like, you know, team up with KO to find the Usos or do a feud, whatever the end goal is. I actually think you can drag this out to WrestleMania at this point, because they've just put him in the bloodline now. So you don't want to kick him out. You can't really kick him out like next week. Do you know what I mean? It has to go on for a little while longer.
Well, and do you know what this has done? I reckon it's not mad if a WrestleMania title match is Sami Zayn for Roman Reigns.
No, it's not.
That all of a sudden that's the level we're talking about Sami Zayn right now. He is escalated to this level of like, I feel like he could be main event in a WrestleMania this year or next year.
I think do you know what? I really think they missed the trick. I mean, we mentioned it a little. I know a few people mentioned it at the time. They kind of missed the trick not putting the Money in the Bank on Sami Zayn.
I think that would be perfect. Yeah.
Can you imagine if he'd have won? Because Austin Theory has still got it, right?
Yeah.
So imagine if Theory didn't have it now and Sami Zayn had the Money in the Bank briefcase, but he was just sort of pally with Roman and the Usos were suspicious, or Jey Uso was suspicious.
Yeah.
And like down the line, you could just have Sami cash it in.
Well, you could have even gone to Mania and you could have told that Solo Roman story at Mania, and then Sami Zayn cashes in, makes it a triple threat, and that's like, I mean, that would have been perfect. But I just think, I think we actually had this discussion during the week about the Shield v the Bloodline. I've heard this somewhere else about, you know, what faction's better, and obviously the Shield created 3 world champions and 3 of the top guys in professional wrestling, if not the 3 top singles guys in professional wrestling right now.
Yeah, they might well be.
The Bloodline, if we're talking in 5 years' time, and Solo Sikoa is the star, which I think he could be, and Sami Zayn is going to be a star that he could be. I mean, Sami Zayn is not surprising because he's always been like,
very good,
even when he's had nothing to do, he's made it really entertaining. And I think Jey Uso has really excelled in the Bloodlines. I mean, obviously he had this feud with Roman, you know, a couple years back, I think. So they've all, Jimmy Uso aside, so Jimmy Uso is the only one in the group who I don't think offers much to the Bloodline, which is a bit of a shame.
Yeah, and well, obviously he does, but like, I know he's got a title, but he's not. Yeah, he's not part of the major storyline. You feel at the moment, but he does have the handshake thing with Sami, which is cool.
Yeah, and it's just unbelievable stuff. It's the best thing in professional wrestling right now by a long distance, and WWE's doing a lot of good stuff right now. AEW's doing some good stuff, but this Bloodline stuff is absolutely
it's really turned around again. There was a bit where I thought the Bloodline and Roman was getting a bit stale. There wasn't a lot going on, but the story of bringing Sami in and also bringing now Solo in has really helped. I just wish all the titles weren't. The only negative to it is all the titles are kind of not the mid-card titles, but both tag titles, both world titles are kind of sucked into this. The tag titles aren't getting defended too much, although we did get a title defense, and obviously the world title. We're not getting that many world title matches. That's the only downside. But otherwise, this faction and this storyline is like unbelievable.
Yeah. And you know, I talked about raising people's profile. I mean, Roman Reigns, how much has this raised his profile? This 2-year story of obviously he's been undefeated for 2 years, so that's going to raise you anyway. But just
his character work and his promo level.
You watch him here; he is perfection. He is at the peak. He's like. Again, I'm going to compare him. He's like The Rock. Like, he just knows his character. There's no hesitation. He is just rolling like at top level right now, Roman Reigns. And he has gone from being like, oh yeah, he's a top guy. You know, he's always going to be near the title, but he's now like rock stone cold levels. I think Roman Reigns right now. I think he's reaching that point. He is just unbelievable, and this segment really just showed off everyone being brilliant. I think everyone played a great part in this. But yeah,
absolutely. And then we got more Bloodline later in the show because we had the Usos actually defending. We said that you don't get many tag title matches, and they've got both titles. But we did get a tag title match on SmackDown here. They haven't been doing a lot on pay-per-views recently. They haven't wrestled much really, the Usos. But they got they had a fantastic main event here as well, which added to that with the Brawling Brutes. Just as Sheamus would say, banger after banger after banger, with the Brawling Brutes were involved in.
Yeah, really good match. I want to give another shout out to Ridge. I've done it 2 weeks in a row now. I'm really impressed with him. From someone
he's definitely improved.
Nowhere. This all of a sudden, this now as a proper tag team, is wrestling in tag team matches in the title picture. Before he was just kind of a lackey, and Ridge was doing singles. Butch was doing bits, and Sheamus was doing bits, and Ridge was kind of not going anywhere. Now he's in the tag team.
I didn't really feel like they were. I didn't really feel like they were taken seriously as a tag team under the Vince sort of thing. It was more Sheamus's group with Butch being a bit silly, and Ridge just kind of being the heavy next to them, but not really doing a lot. Whereas now it feels like they're actually an integral part. They're all as important as each other. I mean, they're having a 6-man match at Extreme Rules with Imperium. Like that, they're involved in everything. So it feels really important now all of a sudden.
Yeah, well, that kind of is the end of this match, isn't it? Imperium get involved and the Usos get the win to retain.
Yeah, after I said a fantastic match with lots of good stuff in it. I love watching Pete Dunne do his Pete Dunne stuff more now. There was a proper like Young Bucks style super kick party moment here where there were just so many super kicks from the Usos. Yeah. And then there was an amazing one. We've got to mention this spot where Butch flew off the top rope and they did a double super kick. That was like so well timed, so perfectly done.
I'm pretty sure Pete Dunne did that with Adam Cole in NXT. A similar spot where he did that and Cole caught him perfectly with a super kick. Yeah,
there was one Adam Cole did. I don't know if it was with Pete Dunne though. I know which one you mean, I think.
I think he did one with Pete Dunne as well. I might be wrong.
Yeah, anyway, possibly. Yeah. There's probably more than one spot. Let's face it. Fantastic match. Really good main event. Usos winning, of course, which is fine. It sets up more of that 6-man. We're getting the Donny announced today. That's the only bit of news, really, and it's relevant to this anyway. 6-man Donny Brooke match, which we saw, obviously, Drew and Sheamus have on SmackDown, and it was really good when they did it. So I'm assuming it's going to be like tornado-style rules, no tags.
Yeah, it's going to be such a good match. I mean, the Extreme Rules card, we'll get onto it as we go through because there's been a few matches announced this week.
Yeah.
The card is just absolutely insane.
Yeah, it's only 6 matches, but it's 6
you only need
stipulations.
6. And there's not like, the main title's not on the line, I don't think.
No, that's the only thing you can say about it is it's not got that much stake.
It doesn't feel any less so. Like they've booked it really well, I think, the card. If we move on to other stuff in the show, kind of related a bit to Extreme Rules as we get to it. We had Liv Morgan beat Lacey Evans. And actually, I think a little bit of a disappointing match. I wasn't too keen on Lacey Evans dominating Liv Morgan for 90% of this match.
What I will say is I think it's more about the after angle than the match itself. Because the after angle was really, really good. The match itself, like you say, wasn't a lot to it. I think Lacey probably did dominate it a bit too much.
I just feel like the way Lacey's been presented, especially since Triple H has come in, she's been kind of... I've only seen her once or twice.
Yeah,
she's
irrelevant.
Quite quickly, both times. And just to see her come out against the women's champion and just like have full control felt a bit.
What I did like about it is there was lots of trash talking and Lacey saying like, "Oh, you'll never be extreme," kind of winding her up, which then led to the spot afterwards.
I do get why they did it.
So I like the story of it. I thought the spot afterwards was fantastic as well. Liv obviously going to grab because Lacey Evans grabbed the kendo stick in the match, which actually led to the finish. She messed it up, and then Liv hit a code breaker in the Oblivion, and then Liv sort of went to do it and then just went nuts with a kendo stick, smashed her against barricade, and then a senton through a table.
Yeah, very cool spot.
I thought it made Liv look pretty badass in the end, by the end of the spot. But yeah, I agree the match wasn't anything special, but it was someone for Liv to beat, and it was a heel to wind her up. So I guess it was probably the perfect person, but like you say, Lacey Evans hasn't really done anything. So kind of,
I would just like Liv to just win a bit more convincingly against someone not low down the card. I guess is my only point to that. In the women's division, we had Raquel and Dakota Kai. Raquel. I think they did kind of mention NXT a bit.
Yeah, they did mention it.
I did criticize this a while back, but they didn't mention it at all. And they've got a lot of NXT history, Dakota and Raquel, from being tag champs to their big breakup. So they kind of spoke about it a little bit. But here we got Raquel getting the win with Shotzi coming down and, getting.
We're getting that Shotzi. We've got that Shotzi face turn, and then she just came out again, which is quite predictable.
Yeah, Shotzi.
I think we're just going to get Raquel and Shotzi versus Damage Control for the titles, I'm guessing.
Yeah, keep throwing Raquel with random partners and again, this whole Shotzi face turn feels a bit weird. There's no real reason for it yet. I wouldn't mind hearing from Shotzi to give us some insight into why
I've heard a lot about the tank coming back on the entrance. Apparently, it's been there the last 2 SmackDowns and they haven't used it. But it's because he hasn't done a proper entrance because she's just ran down.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing when they do,
it would be weird if she was making a save on a tank.
Yeah, it comes in on that like well slow. But yeah, I'm guessing when she has a proper match, we will see that hopefully soon. But the storyline's okay. But there's not, the problem is, as always with women's tag teams, is there isn't enough of them.
No, there isn't. No,
and a couple of them seem to be breaking up. Even the ones that are there or aren't tag teams anymore, like Nikki ASH, for example, and Doudrop, like they're not really together anymore, it seems. And they need. Toxic Attraction would be a great injection. I think that will happen soon.
Yeah.
But I do think we need as well. We'll talk about it when we get to Raw. But I think Indy Hartwell coming up as well was an absolute no-brainer. Now I said it anyway when Dexter Lumis was on the roster, but now her friend is on the roster.
Yeah,
it makes a lot of sense. But yeah, we'll get to that when we talk about Raw.
100%. Going back to Extreme Rules, we have another match announced, a strap match. Drew come to the ring with a strap and challenged Karrion Kross for a strap match, which again, we saw one of these in AEW recently, Punk.
Yeah, Cody had a couple, didn't he?
Yeah, Cody and Brody Lee, was it?
I thought, I didn't say it on the pod last week, but I was meant to. I thought that they would do the strap stipulation for the Miz and Dexter Lumis. I thought that would have made the most sense. So that they're tied together. Sense, yeah. Miz can't run away. He's they make him get tied up to Lumis, basically. But
this one feels a bit random. It almost feels like they're just trying to find a different stipulation for each match. This felt a bit. I was like, why is this a strap match?
He just randomly brought a strap to the ring with him. I was like, it did feel a bit out of nowhere just for the sake of it. The others kind of all make sense. Obviously, the fight pit makes a lot of sense. And all the other stipulations they use in the I Quit match was fine. But this was a bit just felt a bit a stipulation for the sake of a stipulation. I do agree with that, but it'll be great, I'm sure. So I'm not going to complain too much.
And then we got Cross and Scarlett come to the ring, and we got another Scarlett Fireball. We saw this in NXT once,
and it was a little bit botched
against
as
Keith
well.
Lee.
I think they botched it as well.
I just don't know what it really adds. Even if it went well, I don't know. It doesn't do much for me, a Fireball. No, this feud, Drew and Cross, I think started all right. It's gone a bit weird. I'm not massive on this feud right now.
No, and then she did a low blow, which is weird. Yeah. You don't often see Scarlett getting physically involved, so that was interesting. I did think that was quite interesting, but yeah, and Karrion's dominated it as well. He got the cross jacket in again, and Drew passed out. So Karrion has dominated the build up to this, which is interesting. But yeah, it's not the most interesting feud in the world, this, at the moment. Hopefully it picks up a little bit before the
we've got a few weeks, haven't we? 8
days. So
8 days,
2 SmackDowns. So we've got SmackDown tomorrow and then one more. So still got 2 SmackDowns.
Yeah, that's true. 2 other matches from the show. Braun Strowman defeated Otis. Pretty good match.
That was a really good big man match, I thought. And interestingly, I saw the stat on this, actually. This drew 2.7 million viewers watched this match. So the overall average for SmackDown, I think, was really high this week, 2.5, which is the highest, I think, in about 2 years. But that segment in particular was 2.7 million, which is the highest SmackDown segment for 3 years or something like that. So people obviously tuned in to watch this. And I thought, actually, it was pretty good for what it was.
This was better than I was anticipating, actually.
Yeah, same here. Otis went for a frog splash and stuff in this match, and he did a splash off the. He did like a Vader bomb style splash, but then he went for a frog splash as well and missed it, and that led to Strowman hitting the powerbomb. But Otis really impressed me in that.
Yeah, he's someone who we haven't seen wrestle too much.
No, Chad's been doing a lot of the wrestling, and he's
really good at this. I remember when he was at his peak, he was Money in the Bank, and we thought he could be world champion potentially one day. Like he is really good at this. It's good to see him. Back
then, he was more for his charisma, wasn't it? The storyline with Mandy Rose. He was more known as his funny character.
But he's always the standout in Heavy Machinery.
Yes. He is good in the ring, and I think this was they work well together. Strowman and Otis here. Sometimes big man matches they're a bit slow, but Strowman is quite fast paced.
He is quick.
He's a lot better. Like you notice with him coming in, I think Triple H has done well to bring him in because you look at the likes of Commander Aziz and Omos and these other guys that are on the roster, but the only other big guys, and there's not a lot about them. Whereas Braun Strowman definitely is a mile levels above these guys, and I think that is why he brought him back, because you do need some giants on the roster. And as far as giants go, he's pretty good. So
I think he's pretty decent.
The only thing is this feud is a little bit is in danger of becoming a little bit boring because he's having another match with Gable, isn't he, soon?
Oh yeah,
tomorrow or Monday? Monday, isn't it?
It's next Monday. Actually, rang.
Yeah, so
Gable.
I don't really get what the end goal here is because it's just going to keep Strowman just going to keep winning. Surely,
I think we're going to get a handicap match at some point.
Yeah,
that's all I can think from this. There's not much.
It is a little bit of a waste of time, but the match was enjoyable, so I'm not going to play too much.
It was. The New Day beat Maximum Male Models. Nothing match really, but at the end, Max Dupree flips out and walks out on Maximum Models.
His jacket against the
apron. Are getting him back to LA Knight. It's happening. Whether it's this week, whether it's next week, I don't know, but it is happening, and that is what this is all about. I don't care about this match or.
I think that's the only reason they're actually even on TV at the moment. It's just to tell the story of LA Knight. I think if Triple H wasn't interested in doing that, he wouldn't have even put him on TV.
Yeah, honestly. No, I agree.
And I'm glad that Triple H is the one in charge of this gimmick now, because I feel like if Vince, it would have just been those fashion shows every week with Max Dupree doing it. It would have been no change to LA Knight.
Oh, they would have.
It would have got on my nerves by now.
That was going nowhere. Realistically, there's not much that
I like their gimmick in a sense of their style in the ring, matching with it, like the way they tag, the way they wrestle. It's quite unique, so I don't mind that.
And Mason Mansour were doing nothing.
Yeah,
this is better than what they were doing before.
It's not ruined two over wrestlers, has it?
If they had done this to Eric and Ivar, you'd have been annoyed. Yeah,
exactly. Or what they, when they tried to do stuff with FTR when they were a tag team in the past in WWE and things like that, and just like don't ruin a good. You don't need to, but here is a bit different.
Not much else from the show. We had a bit backstage with Solo and Sami.
That
confrontation.
Was that was brilliant
with,
as well.
Ricochet and Madcap.
Yeah, so
two kind of single stars not doing too much, but they obviously want to find a place for them. We got a match this Friday, SmackDown.
A tag team match, but also
team.
Obviously Solo followed Sami to Raw for his match with AJ Styles on the back of this as well, because he was like, he's part of the bloodline now. He is part of it, and then AJ and Sami went back and forth on Twitter, and he's like, "Solo, let's go, mate."
Yeah, I love this Solo Sami bromance. I never saw it coming. Never saw Sami.
No, I thought
we all said Solo would be the one to kick Sami out to Bloodline,
and he still might be down the line, by the way.
Yeah, no, he might be. Yeah.
That might be what he's,
that's what's great about all this Bloodline stuff. Just to go back to it, all of this, like, we're all on board. We love Sami being accepted, but despite Solo and Jimmy Uso and Roman, all their actions to Sami, you still think at some point they're going to turn on him. But at some point, this could all be like a joke, and they're actually playing him along. Like, that's what's great. It's just
and it could go in a number of directions. I always like feuds where you don't know who's quite going to turn and when. I love that.
Yeah.
So let's move on to Raw, because I think that's it from SmackDown.
That is, and to start Raw, we had Belair come down, and then obviously we had Damage Control, a little confrontation in ring, and another Extreme Rules match announced is a ladder match. Interesting.
Yes. Again,
Bayley
no real reason for this stipulation.
Yeah, this feels a bit random, but I don't mind it. And it's the first ever singles women's ladder match.
I was going to say it's the first ever singles. It's a history-making match in that sense. And you couldn't ask for two people better for a ladder match. I I think that'll be. It's going to be a
you're
great
obviously
match,
going to get the other 4 women involved as well in that match.
Absolutely, and then
because it's
this feud is going all the way to War Games. Surely, I know obviously you've got Crown Jewel in the middle. I don't think anything will happen there because it's a Saudi Arabian show. There probably won't be that many women on the show anyway. But I think they're going to drag this out to War Games. I'm a little bit bored of the promos between these guys, but the matches are fantastic. So
I just want to see them wrestle. I have to admit,
I like when we got Belair versus Io at the end of this.
Yeah,
they had a great match. I wasn't bothered by the promos. It was just Bayley and Belair going back and forth, and it was all right, but like there was nothing exciting about it particularly. But yeah, the match itself was really good, and it was actually a clean win in the end for Belair with a KOD, which is fine, I think, because you can't have the champion lose to Io in the build-up. No. That would be a bit weird. So
no, but it should have a good match. And you mentioned this may go to War Games, and someone we may see with the face team is Candice LeRae, who arrived on Monday Night Raw. Probably not the biggest surprise because of Johnny.
No,
I
wasn't expecting it yet, though.
I don't think she ever left WWE, did she? I think she's
her
always
contract
contracted.
Did run out. No, her contract definitely ran out. Yeah.
Okay, I always thought she was just there, but just obviously was pregnant and given.
No, her contract did definitely. It ran out before Johnny's, I believe.
But just nice to see again. No build up.
Well, her
to
and Gargano both just came out randomly. Yeah. Both in Canada randomly as well. I don't know if that's deliberate or coincidence, but it was
just come out exactly as she was NXT. The Poison Pixie just comes out. Nikki ASH way. I thought her facial reactions to Candice coming out. She was like, she was genuinely like stunned.
Yeah. And we'll talk about her after the match as well. I do want to get a key point about her after the match, but the match itself wasn't a lot to it. No. I thought Nikki ASH was the perfect person for her to just kind of beat on the first night, like a mid-card heel. You're not doing any harm by that. It tells another story as well with Nikki, like I say. And Candice obviously had an interaction afterwards. And I was just like,
Are we getting Candice to come on Raw next week? I think.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And
I was just like, NXT. Triple H must be loving this. He's just booking
Candice
his NXT.
LeRae be Dakota Kai on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
Like, who would have thought that a few months back? Madness.
I know, it's great. And like you say, I'm pretty sure she'll be the 4th member. Well, we don't know if it's going to be 4 or 5 members or what it's going to be. But War Games are normally 4-on-4 or 2-3 teams of like 3 or whatever. But she'll probably be the 4th member of the face team. I was talking about this with our friend Tyler earlier on, who's been on the podcast. But we were talking about what the Women's War Games match might be, and we spoke about that. And I said, I've got a funny feeling we may get like an Alexa Bliss heel turn in this or something like that. It could be a Candice LeRae heel turn. She might team up with her old NXT pals, but I think something like that is coming down the line in this feud to really make it interesting.
Yeah, you could be right.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing who joins the other team. If assuming that Candice LeRae is the 4th member. And like we said, if they did a 5, Indy Hartwell coming up would be perfect 5th person, because then you can do Candice and Indy versus Damage Control for the women's tag belts. Perfect.
That is,
as well. And then I would love it to be Sasha and Naomi on the other team, but I'm just not sure at the moment that that's going to happen with what they're doing outside.
Doing a lot of TV stuff, aren't they?
They're doing fashion modeling. They're doing TV stuff. They seem to be having a great time.
They're
in a rush to come back.
They had like radio silence for a little while, and now they are everywhere on Twitter. They're doing stuff all over the shop, those two. Yeah. So yeah, they are. Doesn't feel like they're due back imminently.
No, it doesn't. And I think they'll be on good terms with Triple H, and they've probably spoken to him. But I don't think they'll be rushing back. I'm hoping they come back by at least like the Rumble, and we can get them then. But we'll see. I thought originally they would definitely be involved in this feud, building up to Survivor Series. But at the moment, I don't think it's likely. No. I'd love it to be them, but I don't think it will be. So that was all the women's stuff on the show, really, wasn't it? Oh, it's just a quickly word on Nikki ASH, because I said I'd speak about it afterwards. So she took her mask off at the end of this match and looked, she was like having a bit of a breakdown. I think we're slowly going back to and Triple H loves changing the names and changing the old gimmicks. Hopefully we get old style Nikki Cross back, because old style Nikki Cross is great. Nikki ASH, we're not fans particularly. I didn't mind her at first, but at this point, I think this is awful.
Yeah, it can only go so far, this gimmick, can't it?
And yeah, so I think we're getting old Nikki Cross back, which I'm all for. I'm definitely all for.
Yeah, I want to see Nikki Cross, Piper Niven tag team. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, as
them, yeah.
Yeah, as them more.
Yep. So actually, prior to this Raw, we had like 4 or 5 really good matches announced for the show.
We did, yeah.
Belair v Sky was on, but they put a really good card out for us. One of those was Seth and Ray. That's what. So Seth had a promo before, just talking about the fight pit against Riddle. And then we got the match, Seth and Ray. And just before the match started, Seth kind of playing back to when he.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. I'm glad you spotted it as well, because he was doing this, like mocking his eye from the Eye for an Eye match. I was like, that's a great callback. Because everyone remembers that feud, because everyone hated it. I mean, I didn't hate. To be honest, I remember that match being an amazing match with a terrible stipulation.
That was Eye for an Eye.
Everyone says it was a terrible match, but it wasn't. It was a great match wrestling wise, but it had such a stupid stipulation that it nearly ruined it, and it nearly did a Fiend Seth situation where it was like so bad that it's going to be like worst match of the year contender. And Seth nearly had another one where you're like, oh no, it's happened to him again. But luckily it hasn't, where it's like, ruined him. So they made up for it here.
Yeah, we got Dominic and Rhea come down as well to distract Ray. And I quite like Seth being like, Dominic gets it now, because Dominic was like, obviously is like heel and dark, and he like looked at Seth and like nodded, and it's just like, again, just playing back to that history they've clearly got. That is, it's just nice, but a good match, and Seth got the win with distraction from Rhea and Dominic, to be expected.
Yeah, Dom wanted him to hit him with the chair again. He refused. Rhea pushes Ray into the ring post, and then a stomp. And then what I loved as well, we didn't mention that, but he finished it with a Peruvian necktie.
Oh yes.
And this was, at first I was like, is this a new move from Rollins? But it isn't. What it was, it's an MMA. It's an MMA move.
Yeah.
And it was a warning to Riddle about the fight pit, and I thought that was a fantastic detail to this finish. I thought that is spot on. They knew what they were doing with that. It was called a Peruvian necktie. I've never heard of it, but it was clearly an MMA style submission.
Yeah.
That was awesome. And Ray just kind of passed his out in it as a message to Riddle. Yeah, I thought that was fantastic. The match was really good. Ray was great in this, as always. Rollins too, and loved it.
Yeah, really good.
And the wrestling on this show there wasn't loads of amazing angles and storylines on it. There was 1 or 2 good things, but the wrestling on this show was just ridiculously good.
Well, again, I think we maybe mentioned it last week, is the intertwining of storylines and the interactions of people within storylines. And Judgment Day were involved a lot on this show, because we also had Riddle and Priest. Actually, I think it was the main event. Was it?
It was the main event.
Yeah.
I was surprised it was the main event.
Interesting main event.
I thought AJ and Sami was going to be the main event, to be honest.
Yeah, the Edge return at the end is why this was the main event. Yeah.
I was waiting for the White Rabbit, to be honest with you. I thought we might get something there.
all show. That's the other thing as well. What is hanging over us?
Yeah. Well, we had the QR codes come up again here, didn't we? And
the video was like showing Attitude Era wrestlers, wasn't it? Like The Rock and
there were some other people. There was Cody in it as well. There was a few other
Cody,
people. But it was like dashing Cody Rhodes. It was weird. And there was some what they called like geographical points that pointed to a location. And one of them was called Corbin, Kentucky. And people were like, is this got something to do with Corbin? Are we going to see the next clue? Maybe it's going to be behind Corbin on Friday on SmackDown.
Yeah.
And then the location of one of the things was Wyndham, which is obviously Bray Wyatt's name. So it's very interesting. But
I think this plays out to Extreme Rules now. Actually, I think they mentioned it on the bump earlier. They spoke about the White Rabbit QR codes on the bump.
Mm.
So WWE TV are now talking about White Rabbit. So
they're selling T-shirts and everything. They're not hiding.
It's not hidden secret.
It's not really subtle anymore. It's proper in effect. And again, during the advert breaks, they did the lighting and played the song again, which we didn't see.
It's amazing. Who knows?
It's fantastic stuff. It's Bray Wyatt's mind. It's got to be.
Yeah,
it's got to be. Only one. He's the guy that comes up with this kind of shit.
Absolute genius.
And I love it. Anyway, that was a bit off topic to what we were
anyway,
going to,
Riddle and Priest, really good match. Riddle got the win.
There was a mad spot in this, I just want to say, where Priest carried Riddle over to the barricade and literally dropped him back first onto it. It was nuts.
Yeah.
But they're great. You can tell when people get on in real life because they're great chemistry in the room.
Yeah.
And they're like really good friends in real life.
Riddle and Priest, yeah.
So they were fantastic. It was a really good match.
It was so good. And then obviously Edge comes down and challenges Finn Balor to an I Quit match at Extreme Rules.
That will be fantastic. And it is the first. I know we've had quite a lot of interactions between Judgment Day and obviously Edge and Mysterios. And it's the first one-on-one match between Edge and Finn Balor. Ever. So, and I saw Finn Balor tweet about it, and I saw Dax Harwood actually reply to it on Twitter saying, yes, with like heart emojis on it. So like, I think everyone knows that this might be a dream match for Finn Balor. Probably is.
I wonder if the FTR boys are watching WWE right now and the Triple H and thinking, oh God, wouldn't mind being over there.
They're not doing a lot on AEW at the moment. But
exactly, they might as well. That's just a sidebar. But yeah, really good ending to Raw. And the other Judgment Day interaction was with AJ Styles.
Yes.
So I guess we'll get into the match with Sami Zayn. Another amazing match.
I thought this was out of
probably the match of the night.
I think it was the match. This match was insane. And
insane.
And what I was listening to a podcast, I think it was Sean Sapp actually afterwards, talking about Sami Zayn. And he said, he's getting a lot of credit for his character work. And rightly so. But what people sometimes forget is how actually amazing he is in the ring.
He's insanely good.
Like,
so
obviously,
good.
he's in there with a great opponent in this match as well. But there was a move. There was a move in this match that I'd never seen before. It was crazy. I don't even know what it was called, but it was insane. And and obviously, again, they had him wrestle, had hit Kevin Owens as well. They had to have him on the show. It's in Canada. Not quite as wild a crowd as Montreal was, and the other one they went to. Was it Montreal and was it both Montreal? I can't remember. They were both Canada shows anyway, and SmackDown and Raw weren't they a few weeks ago? Not quite as insane crowd, but still, Sammy was popular here, and this match was just. I mean, it was incredible. Sammy did a flip moonsault to the outside as well. I just don't see him do shit like that.
I just thought Sammy, this was like. Better than we've seen for a while.
Which also never happened to him.
Yes, he beat AJ Styles.
He beat AJ Styles. Now, I saw a lot of people speculating that this match, when this match was announced, because apparently Roman and AJ is the house show circuit match at the moment. Roman and AJ are doing house show matches. People were suspecting that maybe Styles would beat Sammy here, and that would eventually maybe lead to Styles v Roman at Survivor Series. But the fact that AJ lost here, I don't think that's happening. I think you might see AJ maybe in one of the guys that goes against the Bloodline if there's a War Games match. But
it
it
looks like AJ's getting back involved with. Again, this is another one. AJ and Judgment Day, and then AJ went off for a bit, didn't do much, and he's come back. And then we saw Balor approach him last week. And then after the match, Balor comes down again with Judgment Day, offers him to join Judgment Day. Puts up the too sweet sign, and AJ just middle finger right in Balor's face.
Yeah, I love that. Brilliant.
That. And then they take him out, and to the point they have a steel chair around his neck, and then Balor refrains from stamping on it.
Yes.
And I saw Balor tweet after saying, you're my friend, I wouldn't hurt you, sort of thing. He's playing into, no, you're my friend, I'll always, I've
seen a lot of people debating whether, I've seen some people say AJ should join the Judgment Day. I've seen some people saying he shouldn't. In my opinion, he shouldn't. I don't think AJ
think he should either.
I don't think AJ suits that kind of style of faction, to be honest.
I
would rather see him go against it with a faction of his own.
Yeah, I don't think there's enough credible top tier baby faces either. I think you keep him. You talk about opponents for Roman. There's not many, and AJ is one of them. So I'd keep him babyface as long as.
I don't think Judgment Day needs to expand much now. I like big factions, but now they've got Dom.
It should be all about Dom. But this is what I mean. Judgment Day are getting involved with Riddle. They're getting involved with AJ. They're getting involved with Rey Mysterio. They got like Edge. They got Like, again, from a few months back, they were on main event and weren't even on Raw when Rhea got injured. So they are all over Monday Night Raw right now. They are littered throughout the 3 hours. That you'll see them 3 or 4 times throughout the show. And it's just, I just love when stuff like that happens. I just love the joined up thinking. We'll get into AEW later, but AEW, you get 30 seconds sometimes, and that's all you get for the whole week. Whereas Judgment Day right now are just getting segment after segment, all joined up thinking. It's all logical, all makes sense what they're doing. Like the Riddle thing makes sense, the AJ thing makes sense, the Ray thing makes sense. It just all links really well. And I just think they're, again, one of my favorite things on Raw right now. I love Judgment Day. I love everything they're involved in. And it helps it helps their opponents are, Riddle.
The only thing I don't particularly like is when Dominic cuts promos. But other than that,
I've been minded his last couple.
I think the crowd, obviously the heat he got last week, the crowd, that was great. But when he actually cuts promos, it's not the best. But it's not been as bad as I thought, I guess.
No, it's not as bad.
They're all over the show and involved in different things in the same way Damage Control are as well. These heel factions are quite prominent. And then obviously you've got the Bloodline. So you've got three heel factions at the moment that are quite dominant.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to say Imperium as well on SmackDown.
Yeah.
And also, speaking of stuff all linked that we've already mentioned, Alpha Academy with Braun Strowman over on SmackDown. They're here on Raw. They've been, interacting with Gargano and Owens. Had the tag team match on Raw. Again, another really good match. Gargano and Owens get the win. And I think we set up Gargano v Otis next week.
So Gargano v Otis, and obviously
Strowman v Gable.
Yeah, Theory spoke to them afterwards. I got a phone call and it was Strowman. It was Strowman versus Gable. Yeah. So Alpha Academy, they always lose. But they're always on TV. They're always in matches.
But they're two incredible workers. They're so reliable. Those guys.
I think Triple H just knows that you can put them out there and they can be just good heels.
Remember talking a year back or 2 years back about Gable being so misused, like how good he is and how such good in-ring performer. And he was Shorty G and all this stuff
that was terrible.
Doing.
It was terrible.
Now he's in the right spot. He's performing twice a week at the moment. He's on Raw and SmackDown. He's just everywhere. And again, they're interacting with a couple of people. You got Gargano, who's got this Theory thing still going on. He's interacting with these guys. Owens is kind of everywhere. He's with Theory, he's with Alpha Academy. Owens is all over the shop as well. So yeah, it just feels like a coherent. The storytelling right now on Raw and SmackDown just.
It's really good. And it's
so good. This is what I watch wrestling for right now. Like I'm like a kid in a sweet shop at the moment with whenever Raw or SmackDown come on. I just love it.
And I mean, you talk about the storytelling as well, but the in-ring action again in this
match,
really good.
Insane.
Like KO randomly, just out of nowhere, there's an elbow drop off the barricade through a table here.
Yeah, I know.
It's just it's just insane. And great to see Gargano wrestling. Yep. I'm still trying to get used to Gargano wrestling on Raw. It feels weird. And I wrote that, and then in the next match, his wife comes out, and I was like, okay, this is even weirder.
I know, Gargano Candice.
I just got to get used to these people being like Raw wrestlers now, not just like having great matches on NXT. Because I just don't think it would have happened. Johnny Gargano on old WWE TV just wouldn't have worked. No. But now it's really, he's going to be great, I'm sure, because he's one of Triple H's guys, and teaming up with KO is a cool start. I don't think this tag team is going to be like a proper tag team that goes long.
No.
And I don't think it should be. I think it should be, they're both single stars. You could maybe do something with Gargano and Ciampa, obviously, if you wanted to redo DIY at some point.
I was thinking Ciampa's actually someone we haven't seen for a couple of weeks. He had that initial spurt, didn't he, when Triple H took over? He's in the US title picture. And then he was involved. I think he might have been on Raw.
I think he's been on Raw like every week. But
whenever Loomis cut through the ring.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he's been on Raw every week, just not this week.
Did we? Oh, we did get Loomis and Miz, didn't we, this week? Miz was doing a photo shoot, and then
he had the Miz Force security team.
Yeah, that's another good thing. Throughout the show, people walking around and just like seeing security guards on the floor.
Yeah,
it's just a little touch, but it's just like it.
And then at the end, predictably, Loomis got hold of him. He was dressed as a hockey player and hit him with a stick over his back, and then again goes to sleep. Again, I said it last week. I don't know what the end goal is here. I was thinking they were going to have a match of Extreme Rules, but we are now at 6 matches, which has been the Triple H formula. So I don't know if we're going to get it on Extreme Rules. We might do.
Yeah, I mean, it's not one of those that has to be on Extreme Rules. And we've also got Gargano Theory. That is going to happen.
Yeah, I think that could be a Raw main event rather than a pay-per-view match. But it depends whether they put the briefcase online or anything like that. But again, they could drag it out till they've got Crown Jewel in the middle of this. Don't forget as well. So
yeah,
they're going to want to save some feuds for that, because Crown Jewel will be a little bit of a show in the middle. I don't think they're going to do the same feuds at Crown Jewel and Extreme Rules. I think they'll do the same. Extreme Rules will then lead to Survivor Series, and Crown Jewel will be its kind of separate show in the middle. Because you've got Roman Reigns versus Logan Paul, for example, at that show, which doesn't feel relevant to anything else that's going on.
No, but you get a lot of these.
That's what I mean. It's a Saudi show. It's fine. And I feel like we might get, maybe we'll get a Johnny Theory there, like just for the sake of it,
Yeah, maybe. Only thing
that doesn't feel a very Saudi Arabian match, does it?
No.
The Saudi prince is going to be like, well, let's have this.
Yeah, that's right.
Not every match is for that, I suppose. But
no, I suppose you're right. The only thing from Raw is Omos speak to random guys again.
Yeah,
again, it's happened a few weeks. Omos is just, I feel like he shouldn't be on TV. Like, either have him doing something, or because he's established enough, we don't need to see him beat these jobbers anymore.
Yeah, like, it's the same thing over and over.
This is what you do when this is what you do to Braun. Well, maybe even Braun Strowman isn't new, is he? Even though he's just joined, he's not new. No. Like, when someone new joins, like, Hit Row.
They did it a lot with Braun Strowman when he first did join.
But just for Omos, someone who's been on the main roster for a year, 2 years, he's on the main roster for. To him to all of a sudden start be doing squash matches against two jobbers is a bit and just not interested. And
they're making him look dominant
and it didn't lead to anything either. There's nothing like
I want it to lead. If it's going to lead somewhere, then fine. But I don't think it is. And I just want to give a shout out actually for something we said on Raw. It just reminded me, because Omos reminded me of Veer a bit, because we were talking about Veer last week, and you made the call that Veer should be picked up with Sanga. And I said, yeah, why not? Bring up Sanga, have them on the main roster as a tag team. Now, that hasn't happened. But Veer at NXT live events has been working in a tag team with Sanga. So, and I saw...
Best thing for him.
I was looking on the rosters, and Veer is now on NXT, by the looks of it. He wasn't on NXT.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yeah. So I think Veer has been demoted down to NXT. But I don't have a problem with that, because I think a Veer Sanga tag team is the best use. I mean, we said that last week. I thought it was a genius idea from you, and a day later, Triple H done it. So I don't know if he listened.
Exactly, he probably does, Triple H.
But yeah, that's happened. So that's interesting. So that's
interesting, because we saw Sanga this week, but didn't see Veer.
No, we didn't. I think they'll probably build up to it as a TV thing. But
I guess they try on these house shows.
I'm pretty sure Veer is now listed as an NXT wrestler.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting to know. Should we move on to NXT then?
Yeah, that seems like a good enough segue, doesn't it?
Yeah. So again, just to open up the NXT show, we had the NXT title picture, Breaker, and then McDonough and Dragunov came down, and Breaker set up a triple threat match for Halloween Havoc, which I think was predictable from last week. Nothing spectacular about this promo. Breaker did a little math joke, didn't he?
Yeah, he did the Steiner math thing.
Yeah, if my math's right, it usually is.
People popped for that. That was
that don't really do much for me, but I know it's a thing people like. But yeah, I mean, I think we both said it all last week, but that's going to be a good match, isn't it? The triple threat for the title.
It will be good. And like I said, there wasn't anything too exciting about this program, but I did like the fact they kind of referenced the history between McDonough and Ilya, with obviously the last the loser leaves NXT UK match that they had,
which was amazing, by the way. If you've not watched that,
I don't think I have seen it.
Go back. I
stopped watching NXT UK towards the end, and I was just like, "What's the point now?"
Such a good match.
Yeah,
as you could expect.
There was so many great matches on that show that were in front of nobody that nobody watched.
Dragunov barely had a bad one.
No, I know he's
on NXT.
Awesome. He did actually. I mean, that's a decent enough segue to the match he had on here. So he has a confrontation backstage with Zion Quinn, who said basically doesn't see what the hype's all about. And I mean, we've got a confrontation later, but I don't really see what the hype is with Zion Quinn calling it.
No, he was right.
Yeah. But yeah, the match wasn't amazing. It wasn't anything special, but it was nearly a match. Still good, and he had his cool moves towards the end of it to win.
Yeah, he needs to get a few wins before he has his title match. So yeah,
Zion Quinn's just a guy that appears occasionally losing,
but also he's low down the card. But he's also like big enough in stature to feel like a decent person to beat. Like,
yeah,
he hasn't just beat a Brody Hayward or someone. He's beat someone,
And he had a confrontation with Quincy Elliott. That was it. Afterwards.
Yeah.
And Quincy was like, I don't get what the fuss is all about with you, or something like that.
Yeah.
I can't remember what he said exactly. And I was like, good point, Quincy. Yeah, Zion Quinn always loses and he thinks he's amazing.
Yeah.
So that's obviously a feud they're going to do, which is fine.
I mean, Quincy Elliott hasn't really had a feud yet, so
that's a good first feud for him.
I think that's happened a few times to people, hasn't it? They've had Zion Quinn as he's kind of in that role that like
I feel like he could be more than that though. I feel a bit bad for him, but
he could be. Yeah, he definitely could. Again, we got a lot of the women's division on this show, and a lot of the women's
NXT is great at.
The women's title picture. So we had a scheduled match: Mandy Rose and Fallon Henley.
Yep.
It was all right. Nothing spectacular, but Mandy got the win. And called out Alba Fire after.
I thought it was a pretty good match actually. Fallon held her own considering she was in
I think Fallon is pretty good.
Yeah, and I thought they might have her lose quite quickly, but they didn't. Because they've done that with other Mandy Rose matches where I thought, they might give them a decent match, and then Mandy's beating them really fast. But this was decent, and then we got a visual message from KLR. KLR, I can't call it that anymore. Alba Fire.
AF. Alba Fire.
We are just saying and new.
Yep. And then later on we got the Nikita Lyons and Zoe Stark confronted by Toxic Attraction. Yeah. Alba Fire puts a line of fire between them.
So we're clearly going to get a 6-woman tag.
Yeah, I think we're heading to Nikita and Zoe go against. I was supposed to go for the titles. They're not the champions, are they? Although they might be, because we had Nikita Lyons beat Kaden Carter on the show.
Yes, so they're finally doing some stuff with the women's tag teams by the looks of it.
Yeah, I feel like they may be moving towards giving the belts to Lyons and Stark and then having that as a title feud. But I feel a bit bad for a chance to get a Carter.
They might not. To be fair, they might cost it. What might happen is Toxic Attraction might cost them the titles, and then they just do that feud anyway. That's probably more likely the direction, I reckon. Actually, Either way, they're doing something, and I think we're going to get a 6-woman tag there, which will probably then set up Alba versus Mandy properly. It's basically happening anyway.
I think Mandy actually challenged for Halloween.
It is actually happening.
So Halloween Havoc's just a weekly special show, isn't it? It's not.
It's not a
pay-per-view. Yeah.
It's not a take. I don't think so. Anyway,
okay.
I'm not sure, but I don't think so.
No. And the other women's match we got on the show was a debut. What do you make of Sol Ruka?
Very athletic.
Yep.
Lots of good gymnastic-y style stuff. A match with Amari Miller is a bit of nothing on NXT. She just pops up every now and then. It was okay. I don't know a lot about Sol Ruka. I don't know her character. I don't know her background in terms of. I'm assuming she wasn't I'm assuming she was involved in stuff outside of wrestling.
Yeah, I think she's one of these, a bit like Tiffany Stratton and Lash Legend, where they're an athlete before they're a wrestler.
Which is what they've signed a lot of these people now, which is fine. A lot of them turn out to be great, so it's not a problem. But yeah, I don't know a lot about her. She seemed all right.
It felt like a very low-key debut, I would say. About as low-key as you can get facing Amari Miller in the middle of the show.
The only other women's stuff we got on the show was we got something with Wendy Chu and Lash Legend.
Wendy Chu and Lash Legend, they're going to have a match. Not particularly interested in that.
I hope Wendy Chu just beats her quickly, to be honest.
Yeah, just not interested in
I like Wendy Chu, don't really like Lash Legend, so.
I got no real affection for either of them, to be honest with you. The North American title, we got some action there in terms of, and again, another call I made last week, by the way. I said the third match between.
Yeah, you did. And as soon as you said that, I was like, yeah, clearly they're going to do that. That one was a quite an obvious good call.
Yeah.
The other thing I really didn't see, it was a good idea, but I didn't see it happening.
Yeah.
This one, though, was a no-brainer.
So that's for next week, isn't it, that one?
Yeah.
And so far we had Aura Mensa qualify.
Aura Mensa, yeah.
And then we had, I think you said last week, you predict Wesley to win the North American title. He beat Tony D'Angelo here to earn a spot.
Yeah, this match needs talking about because there's a legitimate injury here. Which is a real shame. You don't often see them on live TV where the X goes up from the ref.
Yeah, you saw it on TV, didn't you?
I was half watching this match whilst doing something else. I wasn't like paying up. I was watching it, but I wasn't looking at the screen when I just heard the bell ring. I looked around and like it was in the corner, and then I looked around and the bell rang. I was like, huh? Did I miss a pin, like a roll up, or? And I looked around and I saw the replay, and his knee just completely gives in.
Yeah, it's really like innocuous. It's like a drop toe hold in the corner. There's nothing like
he throws
spectacular.
He basically throws him into the corner. He goes head. I first thought it was a head injury because he hits his head in the corner, like it's
so did I. Yeah,
is what you do. It didn't look anything wrong with it, and there obviously wasn't because it wasn't that. It was the knee getting back up, just completely gave way. And Wesley's face said it all. It wasn't a story
he
looked really upset. He looked quite upset that it happened. So whether he was, we'll never know whether he was supposed to win, but I think he was.
I'm sure
I think he was going to win anyway. But he'd have had to win because
I think
they couldn't do the match.
They can make it into a story because Wesley still hasn't actually like won to earn his way in because he was like given a spot in the match and he said no, I want to earn it, and that's why he went for this qualifier. And actually, he didn't even beat Tony D'Angelo properly. It was because D'Angelo picked up a freak injury. So I reckon Wesley next week should come back and say, actually, I still haven't earned it. I want to do it again and make him fight someone else, like I don't know, Sanger, I don't know.
Duke Hudson.
Yeah, Duke Hudson or someone to qualify.
Another lower card heel you could just beat.
Yeah, but so Wesley, I think you're probably bang on because I'm looking at the people in there. And
unless Carmelo wins it again.
The other qualifiers as well, because the other qualifier announced is Andre Chase v Von Wagner.
Yeah,
it's Carmelo, Wesley, Ora Carter, and then one of Axiom and Nathan Fraser, and one of Von Wagner.
I mean, one of them could win it, but I think Wesley
to me feels like the standout.
And the story Carmelo. With the attack from Carmelo.
Yeah.
Everything points to Wesley to me. But we'll see.
Yeah, I agree with her. I was actually a bit upset they went with Andre Chase Von Wagner as the other qualifier.
Yeah, that's a bit lame.
I reckon they could have done something with Apollo, maybe. I don't know. I feel like there's.
Yeah. I've been underwhelmed by Apollo. I was excited when Apollo moved down, so I thought finally they're going to do something with him.
Yeah, it's been rubbish so far.
I think it's been crap. Yeah, it started off okay. The first couple of weeks, I was like, "This is alright," and then it's just gone downhill. And I think it's rubbish now, unfortunately.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I actually quite like Andre Chase, by the way, just FYI.
I like him in a comedy. He's a comedy lower card.
Yeah, he's just not.
He's like Drew Gulak wasn't he? That's what he kind of reminds me of.
Yeah.
He's kind of like what Drew Gulak's PowerPoint presentation gimmick. Like, that's basically what he's kind of similar to that, where he does teaching and then there was a funny little rib actually in his, because he has a little, he does a press interview, doesn't he, on this one? And he takes questions from a guy called Dave, who's blatantly a dig at Dave Meltzer, because he goes, "What's your question, Dave?"
He's like, "Yeah, you've ever been in the ring or something, didn't?"
And he was like, "Did you think that was a 5-star question?" Because obviously Dave Meltzer does his 5-star match ratings. It was a funny job at Dave Meltzer. I like that.
Yeah.
Apart from that, there wasn't a lot to it, but yeah.
No, and another match you could have had as a qualifier, we had Joe Gacy and Cameron Grimes as well on the card.
I feel like they don't want Gacy to be in there because they're doing something else with him.
They are, yeah. Joe Gacy got the win here. Interestingly, beat Cameron Grimes. Probably plays into the story better.
I think wins. If Grimes just beats Gacy, then it shows that he doesn't need them at all. But yeah,
because we had Jagger.
I'm not
Reed
a massive fan of this storyline, but
push him out of the way, and then
I feel a bit sorry for Cameron Grimes. I feel like his time in NXT since basically the great stuff with LA Knight that he did with what's his name, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase.
Yeah,
that stuff was golden. since that, it's slowly gone. He obviously had a quick title run with the North American title. That was all right.
Yep.
But since, like, it's just, I feel like he's not really doing anything anymore. It's not really much point in him being there, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I'd rather, then again, is he going to do a lot on the main roster? I'm not sure. So it's a tough spot.
Under Triple H, maybe. Under
maybe,
Vince,
but there's a lot of people getting brought back, a lot of, you know, other people. I mean, Santa
there's only so many spots.
There's only so many spots, and I just, I want him to do something. They could turn this into something interesting. Maybe he does join them, and like I said, if they do join them, what I'd want him to do is bring back like grizzled young veterans, and he's like the third member of that, and they kick out Joe Gacy of the group, and they completely get rid of this like supernatural cult leader thing, whatever they're doing, and they just turn into like 3 madmen. That I would enjoy, but right now I'm not into the feud really.
No, I'm with you there. Feud I'm into is the Diamond Mine. We got Damon Kemp and Brutus Creed here, and I guess it probably worked out how it should work out, because Kemp needs to make himself more of a heel. Like, he's clearly going
so he just gets
heel.
DQ'd here.
Yeah, just hits him.
And to be honest, I think the money in the match is between Julius, because Brutus is good. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, Julius!
But every time the Creeds wrestle, Julius is the one that everyone talks about and has that hype. I feel like it's one of those situations
Julius Creed is
one's standing out a lot more than the
star.
other.
Yeah, he is a star.
Brutus is fine. He's good. But Julius is like legitimate, like really, really good. And I feel like that's just going to annoy him even more. And he shouted into the camera at Julius, didn't he?
Yeah.
You know, he said, "Fight me" or something, Julius, after he's smashing his brother with the chair. So I think that is, I want to see where Roderick's Strong. I don't know whether we're going to see Roderick Strong again.
You about to say, is there any news on him? Because I assumed it was just a storyline injury, but no.
I don't know if he's injured. I don't know if he's, obviously we know he requested his release months ago. I don't know if they had no plans for him, whether they're going to call him up to the main roster. Like, I don't know what is going on there, but Damon Kemp is more interesting than he's ever been, so I'll give it that. And I like Diamond Mine. I like the feud. Yeah, it's all good. This is all fine.
It is good. And then the only thing left, I think, is the main event.
Yeah, I do want to just quickly mention.
Oh, go on, yeah.
Before we get to the main event, Pretty Deadly had a hilarious.
Oh yes.
Yeah. This is so unbelievably camp, but I loved it. Honestly, it was so funny.
I love how they go to bed together in the end.
They're whipping the. It was not PG at all. Not PG.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah.
I loved it. Pretty Deadly are hilarious.
They are, and again, they are main roster ready. They are.
Maybe, but they haven't been in NXT that long.
No, but they're one of those. They could have gone straight from NXT UK to.
A lot of the NXT UK guys could have, obviously Tyler Bate could have, JD McDonough could have, Kaylee Ray, Alba Fire could have. You know, all of these people could have done. Yeah, Jack. They're all good enough to. It's just obviously you don't want to go up and not have any spot for them. And I think sometimes we've seen what happened with Doudrop a little bit. I mean, the Triple H thing would have been better, but she's not on TV that much. So I think going to NXT first, working there for big. I mean, Walter did it, didn't he? He went into NXT first, then came up, and now he's thriving. So that's good. But yes, let's get to the main event.
Good point. Yeah, Gallus and what's their names? Brooks Jensen and Josh. Brooks Jensen, Josh Briggs. Yeah. Confusing names, those two. A really good main event, I thought. Again, I wasn't expecting to be the main event, really.
Yeah, it's a bit of an odd one because although it's a pub rules match and it's like a hardcore type match, I don't think this is a match people cared about enough for it to be a main event.
It's not a title feud.
Whereas like the last couple of weeks, they've had really good matches that had you've had the Bate McDonough #1 contender match. You've had, I can't remember what else we've had, but we've had some really like strong matches. This was like, okay, Gallus has only been on NXT TV about 2 or 3 times, and Brooks and Jensen don't feel that over, but obviously we had things throughout the night happening. Joe Coffey got banned from ringside because he headbutted a security guard.
Yeah.
So they built it throughout the night. I like that, and the match was good. I will say
it was a fun old match. Yeah. Yeah.
Loads
brutal.
of belt whipping.
Yeah, really enjoyed it, and Briggs and Jensen's got the win. A little bit surprised by that. I thought Gallus would probably win here.
Yeah, and obviously Gallus got arrested afterwards for beating up more security. So I think there's still storylines to go there. I don't know if this is necessarily done.
Yeah, I mean, what do you make of these like arrested storylines.
I think they're stupid.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. Like,
no, I know, and I don't really know what
Dexter Lumis doesn't get arrested for breaking into the Miz's house.
Yeah,
but he just turns up to Raw and no one cares.
Yeah, Gallus.
But like they knock over one security guard and then there's police there already waiting for him. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But then this is wrestling and maybe it's not supposed to. But yeah, I'm not a fan of arrest angles. I think they're a little bit overdone. We've seen quite a few of them.
Fair enough.
Especially in WWE.
Yeah, and I just don't think like. Why should anyone care about Gallus being arrested? Like they're not over enough on NXT yet.
It's not a hot enough angle for anyone to care.
It just felt a bit weird.
They've done it with like Ronda Rousey and stuff and Becky Lynch. Like that was fine because that's like your main event of WrestleMania. like it's to build to something huge. But this just felt like it was just done for the sake of it. I don't really know why. But yeah, we'll see. Yeah,
well, like I said, if they did it for if they did it for the Dexter Lumis stuff, it'd make a bit more sense.
To be fair, he did actually get arrested on NXT, didn't he?
He did.
But like, still, he's been doing stuff since, and no one's cared.
Yeah,
they're just like, oh yeah, Miz, you've still got to come to work. Let's just carry on like normal. and there's countless other examples. I'll just use Dexter Lumis as one of them. But yeah, strange.
Yeah. Should we move on to AEW?
Yeah, let's move on because we're doing it all in one. So let's talk about. Yeah. I guess we've got to talk about Grand Slam.
Yeah, we had the first. Grand Slam 2-hour-long Rampage.
Seems so long ago.
It does. I'm just looking through the matches happened. I'm trying to remember what happened. We opened with a no DQ match. Darby Allin and Sting did House of Black. Brody King and Buddy Matthews, who again taken some time off of AEW since, hasn't he?
Yes.
So this is the last time we could see him for a little bit. Him and Black now. And I think I saw Brody King tweet saying like, "I'm still here" or something.
Yeah, so he put "I'm not leaving" thing. The Leonardo DiCaprio. Yeah. What Wolf of Wall Street is it?
Yeah,
I think it is. He put that GIF. I think.
Yeah. And he's actually been the one being pushed recently in House of Black. So
yeah.
Him on his own doesn't seem mad actually.
No, and he's got Julia Hart with him, who I think is key to this now. So it's not too bad. The match was, it's usual stuff. Darby Allin was doing some mad stuff.
Darby Allin and Sting only have like tornado tag, no DQ matches, those two.
Yeah, and Sting's like 60-something years old.
How he's still going is mental.
But yeah, this was cool. We got the Great Muta enter the ring, and he's an old rival of Sting's from 80s or something. It's mental how long he's been around as well. Like, this was cool, but it's a bit random. And there was a massive botch in this, looked really dangerous with Julia Hart getting knocked off the apron and completely missed the table, hitting her head.
I don't even remember that. Yeah,
so she gets knocked off after Muta missed Buddy Matthews.
Yeah,
he goes off into the ropes, knocks Julia Hart off, and there's a table, and only her feet slightly touched it, so the table's still intact, apart from one little bit in the corner where her feet have touched it, and she goes flying past it, and her head hits the floor on the barricade.
Jesus.
I'm sure she's fine, but it looked horrible, and it was not a good botch. So they've got to be careful with stuff like that. But Sting and Darby won. It was all right. Not much to say about it. Yeah, it was a good match, but that's what stood out for me, and I was like, God, that's dangerous.
Yeah, we got Hook and Action Bronson.
Action Bronson's so cool.
Really pretty good, wasn't he?
He wraps his entrance.
Parker and Menard from the JAS, probably the good opponents.
Bronson held his own here. I thought he looked okay.
Yeah, he was all right.
Like I say, his entrance was cool. Hook and him won, which was the obvious move. Yeah, no. Like I say, this was a week ago now, so can't remember it spot by spot, but I don't know by what I've written down. But it was all right. I enjoyed
think we mentioned it earlier before recording. I just the kind of dropped ball on Hook, who was like, can you remember the hype around Hook at the start of the year when we said he was like going to be superstar of the year and breakout of the year, and they just dropped the ball with him, haven't they? He just doesn't do enough. Like the team, there's just not enough. I just a bit upset, I guess, with how little.
This was a cool exposure for him to have.
It was, but he still hasn't had a real feud, a kind of mini feud of Tony Nese for a couple of weeks.
He's not wrestled enough top tier people. I definitely agree.
And he's been on Dynamite once or twice. Like it's a handful of times.
Yeah, he's on Rampage when he's on Rampage, which isn't, it's just half the viewership. Yeah, it's a bit of a shame.
And speaking of Tony Nese, him and Josh Woods took on
War Joe.
Quite a cool name.
Samoa Joe. Wardlow and Samoa Joe is a cool team.
It is a cool team, but,
War Joe. Again, my problem with this was, by this point, I was like, why have we had 3 tag team matches in a row? I know the first one was a tornado, but I was like, and apart from the first one, the next 2 were kind of obvious who was going to win. They were kind of squash matches. So by this point, I was a bit like, okay, can we move on past this now? But I love seeing Samoa Joe wrestle. Doesn't have, it's a treat still, isn't it? Because it doesn't feel like it happens that often. He's had the muscle buster, which is a great move. And then they powerbomb Mark Sterling afterwards.
Yep, like to see it.
No complaints there.
Yeah.
The next match was great.
Yeah, it was actually. I was about to say Jungle Boy Ray Phoenix was really good match. 2 like AW, from the start guys. You love to see it. Really good too.
I was kind of like, why is this match happening? But at the same time, I was like, it's just 2 baby.
Yeah, we almost don't care what's happening. It's just a great match.
Yeah.
Jungle Boy got the win as well. Probably needed a big singles win. Because he got squashed by Christian Cage. I know Luchasaurus interference, but I think he needed a big win, and then Cage confronted him afterwards.
Luchasaurus attacked him from behind.
Luchasaurus chokeslam.
Christian basically warned him not to come back.
So Jungle Boy Christian Cage is going to happen at some point. That's the big match here.
Yeah, well, obviously it was meant to happen at the pay-per-view. But
I want to see Jungle Boy Luchasaurus go at it because
same. I think that's actually probably the more exciting match now because of how long they were together as a tag team as well. And I really like heel Luchasaurus. I just think he looks so much cooler as a heel.
He does, yeah. He's a really good presentation.
Then we got we finally got the Sammy Guevara Eddie Kingston match that was meant to happen at All Out.
Yep.
Sammy called him a fat piece of shit at the start, which obviously was a play on their backstage heat because that's apparently what one of the things he said to him that upset him. They obviously allowed them to say that. He's obviously okayed it or whatever. Match was all right. Obviously, got to take Mello providing distractions outside. They did the making out thing they do all the time as well. But I loved the finish of it was cool, I thought. Eddie hit him with 3 spinning back fists, a submission, didn't let go. Officials had to come over. The only thing I didn't like, I loved all that. I didn't like them overriding the result. I didn't.
Yeah, overturning the decision. That. Yeah.
You don't. Surely that doesn't mean Sammy suddenly won. I didn't like that. I didn't get that.
I think that's something we've seen before in wrestling. I just don't understand that. There's no logic. Logically, it doesn't make sense.
No,
I don't think.
No, I didn't like that bit, but I liked the bit before that.
Yeah, basically. I like to keeping hold of it after.
And then Eddie taking out security was fine. That was all right.
Yeah, it happens in AEW a lot, doesn't it? Security get dominated. Wardlow took out half of them. But in fairness, Dexter Lumis took out all of them on Raw as well. So it just happens in wrestling a lot. TBS title match, which is officially now the Rampage title, I might as well call it, because it is.
And it's basically the squash title as well, because every match I'm like, apart from for some reason I stupidly predicted Athena to win it all.
Yeah, that was
a moment of madness, but it's because she barely ever faces anyone that's half decent. So it's like maybe it'll be Athena that beats her because Athena's good. But here we've got Diamante, who's not really been shown on TV.
Diamante, we haven't seen on TV in. God, I thought she existed.
We know Diamante is not ending the streak,
and even like Dark Triangle is this Trina. I don't even know who Trina is.
No, so apparently she's quite well known in America.
Okay.
I believe she's a musician or a rapper or something. I don't know. I think I might be wrong, but yeah. So she endorses Jade at the end of her turn.
Yeah, I mean, I just didn't mean anything to me that turn.
No, it didn't. I don't because I didn't know who she was.
And again, it was the build. Like we only saw Trina for the first time on Dynamite 2 days before. Like it's just such a small build storyline. 2 days. Oh, here she is. Oh, she's turned already.
I think this was just to get. Honestly, I think this match was just to get Trina on the show, who's well known.
Yeah.
Because Diamante, I forgot she existed. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
And it gives Jade another one on a list. Do you know what I mean? It ticks off another number. It's 39, 40 at this point. So yeah, whatever. And then we got the Battle Royal after that, which
good old
so chaotic.
Number one contenders Battle
on.
Royal with random people, QT Marshall, Danhausen, these guys.
This match was there wasn't enough. There wasn't enough. And I've said this before with Battle Royals and AEW. There wasn't enough big stars in the match to leave me much intrigue of who was going to win.
It is one of their biggest, and they do it a lot. Like these Battle Royals to number one contenders has happened 3 or 4 times now in the last 6 months. It's way too often. If you do it once a year, that's fine. If you do it every
I don't mind
month,
if it's got if you do a Battle Royal and Bryan Danielson's in it, Chris Jericho's in it.
You're better off having a 6-man Battle Royal with just 6 top guys,
rather
doing a 30-man with
literally Hangman Page and hardly anybody else in it. Because I was like, well, I know who's going to. I didn't know who was going to win. There was 1 or 2 other people I thought had a chance.
It was down to Hangman and Roosh at the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I was just like, I mean, you could give Roosh a random title match. That wouldn't be as an in between thing. It's just the same old Hangman Page.
It's either you got 2 options. Either you have the obvious Hangman, the only real top guy in there, win, and have a relatively, guy who was in the title picture not too long ago back in the title picture. It feels a bit stale, or you have someone else win it and not be a realistic contender for the title. There's no real win in this situation, and they've did it with Brody King. Actually, I thought that was not too bad actually when they did it with him.
No, I thought at the time I was a bit baffled, but actually that one made kind of sense.
Yeah, that was all right. But they've just done it a few times now.
There were people I forget, Brian Cage was in this, Lance Archer, these people aren't just starting being used, man.
Brian Cage, how can he be how is he getting number contender opportunity here? It's mad.
But he's not going to win. That's the thing. That's the point. No point in him being in there.
No, I know. Yeah.
It was all right. He had Paul White on commentary on this, which was different.
Yeah, it was a bit random. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the main event. Unless you've got any more about the battle.
No, I haven't written a lot on that because it was so chaotic. I couldn't even keep up with it, to be honest.
No, it was a bit mad. The main event there was really good. I thought Powerhouse Hobbs, Ricky Starks, Lights Out match, and again, I quite like the premise of Lights Out. Justin Roberts saying we're now turning into Lights Out. When they turn back on, we are not responsible for what happens, and this doesn't go on the records. This is, again, I know they've done this before. They did it with Cole and Cassidy.
When it's really heated feuds, I think this is a good idea.
Yeah, it does make sense, and this was a really good match. Again, they were
just low blowing each other as standard moves and stuff like that.
And then Starks hit Hobbs with the lights, and then with the Rochambeau to get the win and get his win back after All Out, where Hobbs beat Starks. Starks is an absolute star. He is someone they need.
And I was critical after he got squashed at the pay-per-view, but I feel like they were doing it to build it for a better reason. So in hindsight, I think it's not too bad. I think they made up for it, and I think we might get a third match between the two. But Starks has now beaten Hobbs anyway, so
yeah, I don't mind if someone loses if there's a reason and a story behind it. And there was with Hobbs, with Starks, sorry. So yeah. Really like main event though, really good. Again, for a long show and a lot of nonsense on it, I would say.
Yeah, there was a lot of filler. I don't think they needed to make this the 2-hour show, by the way. They could have just kept it 1 hour and got rid of 2 of them matches at least. And then fine.
Phoenix Jungle Boy in the main event. You could have just had those 2 and maybe the Battle Royal if you're going to have
I'd have had the Sting match still, maybe.
Yeah.
Not bothered with the Battle Royal. Do that on Dynamite if you want.
And just don't do a Battle Royal, just be a bit more. Again, it's just be a bit more creative with your booking.
And the other matches just didn't need to happen.
No, but yeah, not too bad for a. Like I say, just so long ago, I guess it's just hard to remember exactly what happens.
Yeah. Well, it's fresh in my mind is Dynamite.
Dynamite, the most recent show we saw. We opened with the Jericho Appreciation Society Championship celebration.
Yeah.
Nice presentation. Here.
Yeah, I really like the
all in purple. Yeah,
I really like that. They had the touch of the pizza guy was back.
I certainly didn't like actually.
I didn't mind him being there making pizzas.
Again, I just don't get it. What's going on?
I was a bit like, this is lame when they were just talking about pizza for a minute.
Because isn't it just a local? It's not even like that bigger name across America. It's just like
he's a random indie wrestler who has a pizza making gimmick. It's fine. It's whatever. I don't really care. It was a bit of fun. He got punched out by Daniel Garcia. He was like laying out. So, that was all right. But yes, I liked it once it got bit more serious. And obviously Jericho gave Garcia like a ridiculous hat as a present. And then we got a bit of a promo. It did feel like a bit of a deja vu promo because we've had this promo before where he's trying to make him say, I'm a sports entertainer, and then Brian came out and was like, you can be whatever you want to be. We've literally, I've heard that before.
Yeah, I know.
I've heard this exact promo, but I like the story, so I'm not going to complain too much. Then I really liked where it went with Daniel Garcia was like, I'll tell you what's entertaining, and he listed some really random stuff. But then he said about teaming with Bryan Danielson to take on Jericho and Sami. That was cool. And then basically Matt Menard got on the mic, and he's really good on the mic, Matt Menard.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
That's a really passionate promo. Challenges Bryan to a match, and then we got Matt Menard versus Bryan Danielson afterwards. Yeah.
Again, a fairly straightforward match and win for Danielson, really. You got some interference of Angelo Park, and then Castagnoli comes down.
Yeah, Claudio comes down, took him out, carried him to the back. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
What I liked with the finish as well was he hit the Psycho knee, and quite often, obviously, the Blackpool Combat Club use a lot of submissions where people pass out, but Matt Menard just tapped instantly.
Yeah.
That, obviously, depending on the opponent, that's how it should be. So weaker opposition, tap them instantly. World Championship level match or something, pass out. I like that. So yeah, that worked.
And can we just talk about William Regal as well? His commentary. He his chatting up of Excalibur is just it's just so funny. Like, just what was he?
Every week he gets worse.
He was like you're like a Rice Krispie, and you can snap, crackle, and pop me anytime you want, sweetheart. It just makes no sense. It's just so funny.
Nowhere as well. He was already speaking to him, and then he was like, "Oh, and by the way," and it just says it.
Oh my god, it's my favorite thing about it.
I would love to know if Excalibur even knows what he's going to say. I don't think he does.
No, I don't.
I think he's just like, I'm just going to say something really weird.
Yeah, Regal's so funny.
He's fantastic.
He is unbelievable.
I love him. He was great. He's always been great. He was, he's great as NXT general manager, and
he was never doing this, was he? He was never.
No, he was serious. He was a much more serious character, involved in angles and things. Here, he's more of a figurehead for the Blackpool Combat Club, really, isn't he? Yeah. He occasionally gets in the ring, but most of the time he's more on commentary. And he's fantastic on commentary, so I'm not complaining. He really adds something else different to it.
Yep. We then got a scheduled MJF promo, but actually we had Wheeler Yuta.
Yeah, after obviously MJF hit him with a diamond ring last week.
Yep, had that last week. I mean, not too bad from Yuta, someone who's not particularly great on the mic.
Last week, people were saying, like MJF embarrassed him on the mic because he was so much better than him. And last week, I did think that a little bit. This week, I thought he held his own. He was quite fired up. He's not a great promo, but I don't think he was too bad here. And MJF comes out, immediately calls Tony Schiavone a fat old prick, and I was just like, right, I'm in.
Yeah, here we go.
Let's go. Let's go. Gets his sports team heat. Who did he say you had the charisma of? I can't remember. It was someone I'd heard of, but it was someone who was dead now. It was like, you've got the charisma for this person now, and he's dead or something. He said, I can't remember who it was. But yeah, you know what it's like. And then you wanted to fight here, but the Gun Club come out. And then MJF basically was like, no, next week. But it looks like MJF's finally having a match next week.
Yeah, good.
Like I say, he needs to have a match because he didn't wrestle to win that thing. He literally came out and Stokely Hathaway gave him the chip. Yeah. So I think he needs to have a match before he has I want to see him wrestle before that, I think. And Willie Yu is a good opponent for him.
Yeah, no,
the match will be good, and I'm sure
this is a fine first little mini feud for him. I've got no problem with this at all. And then next up, we got an AEW World Championship Eliminator match, Moxley and Juice Robinson. And here, I want to get a bit skiddy here.
Right. Okay. And
it's kind of just AEW.
This could be back-to-back skids, by the way, because I really was not a fan of the next segment.
AEW's booking in general, if you've listened to me talk AEW recently, I've been quite critical of their booking, and this was kind of the pinnacle of it, where We've just talked about the number one contender battle royal where Hangman Page won. They've got number one contender. We've just seen MJF, who's also a number one contender, has got a title match whenever he wants. And we're bringing in some again, I say random. I actually have heard of Juice Robinson. I've seen him.
Oh, I know. He's married to Tony Storm. Yeah. He's been in WWE.
I know of him. But the point is, he is not an AEW superstar. And for him to have a championship eliminator match is just makes a mockery of AEW. I just think it just makes AEW's roster look.
A lot of the roster must be annoyed that this happens.
And it happens a lot.
I hate the premise of, I mean, we used to criticize championship contenders match when WWE was doing them all the time. We used to criticize it. So you've got to keep the same energy. And I think I just don't like the premise of them.
Yeah.
And the point of doing it when you've already got a number one contender, I don't understand.
Well, you've got two. You've got Hangman and you've got...
I guess MJF's a little bit different because he's kind of like Money in the Bank. So that's fine. Yeah. You can hold that off because he can cash it in later down the line. That's like Austin Theory having, and then you still doing another title. I've got no problem with that. But Hangman Adam Page literally won a battle royal on Friday. Why do you need to do another number one contender match?
Can we just build to Hangman and Moxley? That's what they should be doing. They should be building their stories, but they've got to a point where they're not very good at building stuff because they're too focused on bringing in new people. And we'll talk about it later with the main event, Ring of Honor World Title, which was a good match. I thought
that was great.
Even this match was. I didn't mind this match.
This match was good. This
is the thing that. I think you said earlier about when I was praising WWE's booking, you mentioned about the good wrestling as well. Good wrestling is almost a given because the competitors AEW have got are insanely talented. WWE is actually the same. Like the wrestling is always going to be good. I don't care who you put in, what storyline, it's going to be a good match.
Yeah, because AEW always give their matches time, so we know it's going to be good.
Give us a reason to care about people, and can we focus on I don't care about Ring of Honor personally. I don't care about Ring of Honor. I haven't watched it beforehand, I'm sure, and the thing is a lot of people have, and that's who they're trying to play to. But just from my perspective as someone, and there are fans out there like this who don't watch Ring of Honor, don't know Ring of Honor, don't pay attention. I've never heard of Bandito before. He was in
has been on AEW TV before.
Yes, okay.
Ages, a long time ago.
But again, how many people have been on for one appearance and then never again?
I think
it's so easy to forget
tag team matches and stuff like a year plus ago.
Yeah, and I kind of got the New Japan Forbidden Door stuff, but that's kind of what started me off on this. Like, what are they doing? Yeah. They're going a bit too much, and it's just.
And I've heard other people say this. You're not the only one.
It's non-stop, and for me, Rampage has become an almost pointless show. It's definitely a secondary show.
Oh, it's 100%. It's the secondary show.
It's almost feels like main event. Almost.
I compared it to what SmackDown was like before the brand split, where you'd get Raw on a Monday, and then on Friday, you'd kind of get recaps of Raw, and then you'd get some B talent come out and have some random matches that didn't really mean a lot. And then
that's a good comparison.
And then there wasn't a brand split, but it felt very much a secondary show.
Whereas I think, and this is why it's a because I've actually got a solution for them. Create some sort of give us a Ring of Honor roster. You've got enough people.
Well, I think they are going to do that eventually. When
Samoa Joe, Jay Lethal,
TV deal for Ring of Honor. I think they're heading.
Claudio Castagnoli, but just make Rampage Ring of Honor and keep AEW as Dynamite and just separate these things, because as an AEW fan, and I am an AEW fan, I don't care about Ring of Honor World Title. I don't want that to be, even if Jericho's a champion, I would rather Jericho be going after the TNT champ. I mean, Wardlow, when's the last time he defended? Since he won a belt, when's he defended?
Well, there's too much going on there, isn't there? Yeah.
We've got that new title PAX one. What who knows what's going on with that? The Trios Championships, they were won a couple of weeks back. Nothing's happened with them.
I forgot
they exist. Okay, we've seen the tag titles have been fairly prominent. The world title's been prominent because it's on every show. And there's at least Moxley wrestles every show with the belt. So that is a good thing. But just bringing in these people, and I've got nothing against Juice Robinson or Bandito, whoever they bring in as individuals, but just
it's more the premise of it.
Yeah, the premise. And like I say, if I'm an AEW superstar, let's say they've dropped the ball on Hook. You've got people like Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page and like Jungle Boy, Ray Phoenix, all these guys that you could have like pushed a bit harder. Darby Allin's gone really stale, really, from where he was. Sammy Guevara, like the list is endless of the talent they've got, and they are being pushed to the side, and they keep wasting these hot acts because they're.
I hope they don't do it with the Acclaimed, by the way, because they're the hottest thing at the moment. And I don't think they will. With
but a month ago, who would we have said the hottest act on AEW was? Probably FTR.
A month or two ago, yeah.
Where have they been when else on TV? FTR are not on TV anymore.
No,
they were the hottest act.
I know.
It makes no sense to me why they just keep dropping. Hook was the hottest guy 6 months ago, and now he's like fights once every month on Rampage. It's just focus on AEW. All I want to watch is AEW wrestlers. I'm invested in AEW people, but I become less invested in all of them when you dilute them so much. And like we've mentioned, Judgment Day appearing 3 or 4 times on Raw.
Yeah,
that just doesn't happen on AEW.
You can get one segment. You can go too much the other way where you like overdo it. But...
You can. And there is a middle ground, and it's. At the moment, they're just gone too far. And I feel like
they've got a big enough roster that they don't need to bring loads of people in constantly. They can use the people they've got without overdoing it. That's the thing.
I thought it was actually interesting this week. They said, "Oh yeah, we'll give you a video package to explain who these new guys are," because they don't always do that. They just put them out there completely cold and don't give you a video package. I mean, we got like Great Muta on Friday, and just keeps introducing new people. It's just, but yeah, anyway, that's my skid mark is. Mainly the fact that they had a world contenders match with a number one contender announced on Friday.
Yeah,
against the guy not in AEW, but just in general, the overbooking of talent that I reckon a lot of fans don't care about.
Yeah, and then so after the match itself, like I said,
it was good. It was a good match. Yeah.
We had MJF watching from the stand, and then Hangman did come down for a conversation for Mox to sort of set something up there, but we didn't get too much. But then, interestingly, we attacked MJF, so that was interesting. I spiced that up a little bit more. That's a good little feud that's bubbling under. Then we got, and now you've just had you going on a bit of a negative rant. Now we're going to get me going negative because this promo, and I've seen so much negative reaction to it. I'm glad I wasn't alone in thinking it. From Saraya, and look, I want to say before, and I if you listened to the podcast last week, you'll know I was so excited last week that she came into AEW because I think Paige in WWE was awesome. She was, when I first started watching WWE again, she was like, her and AJ Lee were kind of on top in the women's division, and I thought she was great. Obviously, she was from the UK, so there's like kind of that, natural sort of connection to watching her, and I've always liked her a lot. When we've watched the shows. And last week, like I said, I was really excited because I thought maybe she's cleared to wrestle. Like, it'll be great. It's going to be a great addition. And then this promo, I will say, she did say she was nervous. And she's tweeted about it today. I did notice saying, I did fumble a little bit. And a little bit is an understatement because she blew this promo, in my opinion. Stumbly at the start. Her words, she said something like, I was the revolution here. I will be the revolution here. I am the revolution, or something like that. Yeah, which made no sense at all. And that was nerves. I get that. It was probably nerves. That bit, I was like, this isn't great, but like, that's nerves. But there were a couple of other bits in this promo that then bugged me as well. So then there was that weren't down to nerves. So one of them was that comeback to Britt Baker, which got complete silence. And just one of the worst jokes I've ever heard. This made me cringe. Yeah. When I don't know why you're taking the mick out of my name. Your name rhymes with shit. I was like,
yeah, and like no one reacted. It was like, oh,
no one cared. It was so cringy. I was like, that is terrible
joke. Yeah.
And then she also had to do the traditional thing of getting a WWE jibe in, which from her I thought was out of order because she said something about, my boss actually listens to me.
Yeah, yes, myself listens to you for a change.
You've been not wrestling for like 3 years and been on the WWE payroll. Yeah. They could have released you 3 years ago and not paid you. That's a bit cheeky, I think, from her. And they were probably, and at the end of the day, they were acting out of the best interest not to clear you and not to let you wrestle and all that kind of stuff. I think they've looked after her quite well from what we've heard. So I think that was a bit of a low blow.
It is, and I'm also like, again, we're what, 3-4 years in AEW now? Like, the new ex-WWE person coming in and making an immediate jive at WWE is so boring. Like, just be better.
Sometimes I get it when it's people that are really like, I can understand CM Punk doing it. Yeah, we all know his proper beef with WWE, the big fallouts, and people that were released unfairly and things like that. Paige didn't have that. Her contract ran out after being paid for years for doing nothing. Basically, there's been a film made about her career. They pushed her when she was a wrestler.
Yeah.
To me, they couldn't have done. We don't know everything that happens behind the scenes, but from what we've seen, they looked after her pretty well. And I just thought that was a bit of an unnecessary jibe for no real reason as well, added to that promo. So you had a terrible joke, fumbling lines, and that. And I was just like, this is awful.
Well, also, she was like, oh yeah, let's bring the women's division out here. And we got Willow Nightingale, like Sky Blue, Madison Rain. Yeah, I was like, who the fuck are these people?
I mean, that's not on her.
This is the women's division.
But it made a mockery of the women's division as well.
Yeah,
because she was like, I'll bring out the women's division, and like two of them have only ever on TV, and that's Storm and Athena. And she went
I didn't know who Sky Blue was. I was like, who's that? I knew Willow and.
I mean, she's been on TV a bit.
No, I know she has. I've seen her, but I don't. She isn't memorable.
And Madison Rain's like a coach. She's not even a real proper like actor. Yeah. She has wrestled, but she's not really an active wrestler. So it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. And she went to introduce them, and they didn't even let her do that because then she got interrupted. She said something about Toni Storm, who we all know anyway. Then Britt Baker comes out, and Britt Baker embarrassed her on the mic. This was when people talked about MJF and Utah last week. Britt Baker completely destroyed her hair. She made a joke. She ripped her about her neck. This is where Paige made the rubbish comeback. It was embarrassing. I was like, this is like chalk and cheese. Complete opposites here. Britt Baker, you can tell she's on TV every week. She's tuned. She knows what she's saying.
Yeah.
Saraya just seemed completely and I get that it's her first promo in a long time. I understand that. But if she's not an active wrestler, and this is going to be her role, sort of to improve the women's division, first of all, right, I think she's delusional if she thinks Tony Khan is going to put the women's division better because she said so. Because he's made it perfectly clear in press conferences, he's got no interest. He hasn't listened to Thunder Rosa, Britt Baker, anyone else. Why is he going to listen to Saraya? I don't understand it. So unless she's an active wrestler, and that's why she's joined, I don't get it.
No, I don't get it either.
And I like her, but for me, this promo actively irritated me a lot.
You go from being really excited to see her to like, oh, okay. I like now already. I don't care next week.
I know, and I've seen a lot of people say the same.
Like
my Twitter feed today
was,
what is this? Like, this promo was terrible, and I'm not interested anymore. And I was like, that is such a shame because she deserves an opportunity. She's great, but like this promo was bad.
She said, I think,
and even when she was on commentary, she was a bit annoying as well. I thought.
And she wasn't great.
She was laughing with Taz and like, I don't know what was going on. It did lead to a match between a lumberjack match, which I thought that part was cool. She was like, I've set up a lumberjack match. That was something different. That part was fine. That was no problem with that. And it was the first one, so it did feel different. And this women's match did get time. So we got quite a long segment here. And we got a good match between Storm and Dee with an amazing finish, I thought, with an avalanche pile driver from Toni Storm off the top.
Mad finish, wasn't it?
I was like, Jesus. I mean, she kicked out the Storm Zero. I was surprised when Dee kicked out the Storm Zero, but then and this match was really good, to be fair.
It was a good match.
I had no problem with the match, but everything that surrounded it was crap. Like really bad, and I just it was. I was cringing watching.
Look at the movie, great match, but again, this is the thing. Great matches can only get you so far. You have to have other substance to it, and there wasn't here.
Yeah, like I said, I don't want to go in on Saraya because I'm a fan of her. That's why I care so much about it.
Yeah, we love Saraya.
It's awful. It was genuinely terrible.
We got then a backstage segment with Private Party being dismissed by Andrade El Idolo.
Yeah, Matt trying to get them
Matt
back.
Hardy saying quit. I promise we'll do it right this time.
Yeah.
I mean, Matt Hardy and Private Party teaming up again, is that again? It's all right, I guess. We'll see what happens, but a face
I heard Jeff
version
might be on his way back soon, so we'll see what happens there as well.
Private Party, I think, were one of the most exciting tag teams at the start of AEW, and they've just become a joke. So I want to see them. Yeah, I want to see them get back properly. Ricky Stark's got a squash match
Yeah, against someone called Eli Isom, I think his name was.
Yeah.
Apparently, he's been in Ring of Honor a bit. I don't know who he is, but yeah, it was a squash. So he's obviously not someone that's relevant because they wouldn't have had Starks bury him like that if he was. So, but cool for Starks to get him on TV, just have him win.
Yeah, I don't mind the squash cool. Win. Yeah, no problem with that.
No problem with that.
And also, can I say, Ricky Starks again just looks like an absolute star. It just looks like. And look, we talk about these people when they're hot. You got to really go with it. Ricky Starks right now, I think, is really hot. Like if you told me Ricky Starks was going to get a world title match right now, I'd be like, okay, that's quite cool. Like that's something to be excited about.
Someone like him win the Battle Royal. I mean, I know exactly. he had the main event after.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
so he couldn't. Really.
Yeah, but just don't do a Battle Royal on that 2-hour show. And
do it some other time and have him win would be cool. Like that would be awesome.
Yeah, or have it here, and he comes off the back of that big win, but wins a Battle Royal when he's on an absolute roll.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's ways around it.
I think we got the main event then. Was there anything else in between? Because I did miss some segments on my notes. I got all the matches.
That was it. The main event.
But the main event, I have to say,
Bandido.
Bandido. I have seen him before. He has been on AEW TV once or twice before, ages ago. But I didn't remember him standing out last time. But I thought his wrestling in this match was insane. His lift where he lifted Jericho for a minute was like mad.
That was mental, yeah.
He had an impressive show of strength, but high flying as well. I thought he had a bit of everything. Really, really, and I was surprised. I was like, "This is again, TV main event with someone that's it's Chris Jericho, one of the most famous wrestlers probably in the world."
Yeah.
So I get why it's the main event, but Bandido, completely unknown to a lot of people, certainly to a mainstream audience. But yeah, the match itself really delivered, and I just realised after I went halfway through that like Jericho's having really low key a resurgence this last few weeks of bangers.
Yeah, he's
I remember saying a few months ago that Jericho is still great. Like he's still great figurehead, great promo, but his matches aren't that good. Like when he was having his world title run, his matches weren't that amazing. I remember them like some of them were average. The last couple of weeks, he's had some really good matches.
Yeah, he has.
And this, the one with Claudio was great. The one with Brian was great. But I mean, I could have a good match with Brian. That's not. But the one with Claudio was great, and now this one with Bandido as well. Awesome match. And eventually Jericho uses some sort of heel tactics as well. Gets in the walls of Jericho, taps out, and then challenges Brian to a third match
for the Ring of Honor title. Yeah.
So that's a big match again. They're one each, so I thought we might get the third.
Yeah, he didn't expect.
And then he randomly hits the ring announcer as well.
Oh yeah, he says he's going to take out all of.
I kind of like the fact he's like.
I do like the angle from Jericho to be like, it's going to be a Ring of Jericho now. I'm gonna get rid of all the honor.
It's working.
I'm going to beat all the ex.
He's like, I'm going to beat all the ex Ring of Honor champions. I was like, oh, you're going to beat Seth Rollins, are you? He's an ex Ring of Honor champion. Every single one, are you?
I saw someone talk about the list of them, and there's like 11 potential who aren't in WWE, like Kevin Owens, you can't fight him. Like,
yeah, of course.
And of that 11, people like Christopher Daniels, who's not currently a wrestler, and there's a few people that like.
I saw the full list the other day.
Yeah, there isn't many options he has, but again, 11's actually quite a lot. If and
they're quite
11,
they're quite esteemed name. Quite a lot of them are good names as well. And obviously, there's a few that are in WWE. There's like I think Roderick Strong might be one. There's
he is. Yeah.
There's quite a lot of like
maybe if Roddy gets his release.
Cody's another one, by the way. Yeah. Like obviously he can't face them, can't beat them. But yeah, I like that. I like that idea, and I think
I do like the premise of it. I think we'll get. I think I said it before, but him and Garcia for the Ring of Honor title. I think that's what we're going to come down to.
Garcia won the other belt. I would have preferred it maybe if he didn't. But
yeah, maybe they merged the belts. I don't know.
Yeah, or Garcia loses it to someone, but then that kind of
maybe Jericho costs him the belt or something. When there's ways they can do it, but yeah,
definitely.
I think that's the match I want to see now is Garcia Jericho. I just wish it was for an AEW belt, not a Ring of Honor belt. But
yeah,
we are where we are.
Yeah, but so I think sometimes the man can make the title rather than the title make the man, if you know what I mean. And if you you can put any title on the right person, and it can become a big deal. Apart from like the 24/7 title, but like, so they might make me care more about it.
Yeah, they could
because it's Chris Jericho, and he's well,
he's on
everything he touches
roll, isn't he?
Turns to gold, like throughout his career. So
Yeah.
I think that's why they put it on him, because Claudio's a great wrestler, but he's not going to draw people in to be like,
I think if you want to get eyes on Ring of Honor, give it to, I said this last week, give it to Jericho.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Let him, again, if you're going to try to, especially if you're trying to get a TV deal for Ring of Honor, Jericho as champion will help you get
and Samoa Joe is one of your other ones as well, wasn't too bad,
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
It's not too shabby, is it?
FTR tag champions in Ring of Honor.
Yeah,
they've got
serious people on that. So maybe there is something to that.
Yeah, maybe we'll see. Anyway, I think that's it. That's us done for this week. It's a long one. It's a long one. We have covered.
Well, we did do both shows in one go as well.
Yeah, first time in a little while we've done AEW and WWE in one go. But I think it was a really strong week of wrestling. I mean, a lot of wrestling, because we had a 2-hour-long Rampage, and then everything else. It's another. I mean, wrestling never stops, and
we've got Extreme Rules in 8 days, so we'll have predictions next week as well.
Yes, well done, Fisher. Thanks for remembering that one. Extreme Rules. Yep, that'll be good predictions. And then I'm guessing the next one after that will be Crown Jewel. Probably. Yep, I don't know. Right. AEW won't have one for a while, will they now?
No,
just had all out. But yeah, so follow us on Twitter at Recharge Wrestle, where you can check out. We will be tweeting about the Predictions League. Do get involved. You have a chance to win a wrestling shirt of your choice at the end of the year for the winner of our Predictions League. We have a fair few people involved already, but above all else, it's just a lot of fun to just predict and compete against other people. It's just a right laugh. So get involved with that. That'll be on our Twitter. If you listen to this on podcast format, you can check it out on YouTube, see what we look like as well as we're recording. On YouTube, search for Recharge Wrestling and subscribe as well. We have content. We have our weekly videos, but we've also had previous content from Clash at the Castle. There's a My GM mode from a while ago from me. Hopefully some more gaming content.
I definitely want to do something.
We've got ideas. It's just finding the time to we have other jobs as well. Unfortunately, we can't just focus our life on wrestling as much as we would love to. But check us out on YouTube. Say like, subscribe on Twitter, and most importantly, come back next week where we'll discuss the week in wrestling. See you guys.
Goodbye.